Hi there, this is Jonathan Ginsberg, and I want to talk to you about using the grid rules, the medical vocational guidelines, to win your case early, to win it at the initial application stage or even the reconsideration stage. And the reason I'm recording this video is that what I see out there is very few people know about the grid rules early on before they have an attorney. They don't use them, and they're passing up possibly opportunity to win their case early simply because they didn't bring the grid rules up. Now, just to summarize, and I've done other videos about the grid rules are basically a recognition by Social Security that people over the age of 50 with a limited education and limited work skills are going to have more difficulty re-entering the workforce. And what that means is that even if you have some capacity to work, you would be deemed disabled by Social Security using the grid rules because of those limitations with education and work experience. So again, it's a recognition of the reality of the economy at this point. And the way the grid rules work is they call it the grid rules because it's on a series of basically columns, both horizontal and vertical columns, that you find out based on your age, your education, your work experience, which grid you fit into, which square you fit into, as it were. Now, to make this easy, I put together a website I did a number of years ago. It's called gridrules.net, and let me refer you to that, gridrules.net, where you can see the grids and see how they work. And that will give you a real idea, and I've really gone into some detail there about how they work, and that's sort of beyond the scope of this video. But if you go to gridrules.net, you will see examples of how the grid rules work. You can figure out which grid that applies to you. Again, it does involve figuring out the skill level of your past work. Obviously, you're going to know your age and your education, but figuring out which grid rule applies, whether you're limited to sedentary work or light work and so forth. And again, that's beyond the scope of our video here today, but assuming you can go there and kind of make an educated guess about which grid square you fit into, you can use the grid rules. And what I would do is when you're applying for disability, certainly go through all the arguments as to why you feel you're not able to work. You've got these medical conditions that cause pain or limit your movement or whatever the case may be, but also throw in there, after reviewing the medical vocational guidelines, it appears that I meet grid rule 202.16 or 201.12, whatever the grid rule may be, and you can ask for more than one. So you can say, it appears to me that the following medical vocational guidelines / grid rules apply, and again, list them, 202.12, 202.13, 202.14. I mean, if you can give an explanation, that's fine, but even if you don't, just by putting it in there, that may trigger the adjudicator to say, hey, this person's talking about the grid rules, let me take a look at that. And it's possible you could find yourself winning early because you were able to point out to the adjudicator that yes, these grid rules do apply, or at least make the adjudicator think, hey, I need to talk to a supervisor to find out what this is all about and see if this applies. So I think it's a way to shortcut the approval process. Nobody does it out there. If you do it, you'll be a step ahead of the game. And I think it also set your file up for down the road, that when you do, if you eventually have to go to a hearing, that you're also letting the judge know down the road, if the judge looks at the file, that you're thinking about the grid rules and that this is something that needs to be considered. I run every case I have through the lens of the grid rules, if it applies, and you'd be surprised how often it does. And I also will tell you that in hearings, judges seem to be a lot more comfortable granting on the grid rules than making a functional capacity decision, because the grid rules are much more mechanical. There's not a lot of judgment involved, and it's easier for the judge to justify. He's less likely to be reversed. And again, I think my experience has been judges really like them, so why not try with the adjudicator as well? So this may be a way to get your case approved early, and if you're wrong, if you pick the wrong grid rule, it's not going to hurt you, but it's something that really very few people, if anybody, does. And if you do it, again, it gives you a shot at maybe winning early. And I hope it does. So if this has been helpful, please give it a thumbs up on YouTube. If you saw this on Facebook, like it there. Subscribe to my channels. And of course, if you have any questions, please let me know. My name is Jonathan Ginsberg. I'm a disability attorney. And if there's anything I can do for you, please let me know that as well. Talk to you soon.